got the British pound got destroyed last night. The yen got hit hard. Which one? What are you talking about? Which is low volume? What's up, buddy? You want a bone? All right, get you a bone. Oh, it was low volume. Let me know if that's better. Let me know if that's better. I don't know why it went out yesterday, but it did. Just let me know until when. Okay, cool. This thing. This doesn't know about the market pullback, huh? You know what was weird too? This EVTL. This thing is unbelievable. Total turd. But electric vertical takeoff and landing. Yeah, there are. The market feels a bit oversold, and there are some stocks resting on rising moving averages. It'll be interesting to see how a few of those names um, react in this market. It'll be really interesting to see. You can't hear anything, Yuli? Okay, hold on. Let me know if that's better. Yeah, I'll turn the volume up if it's necessary. I did. I had a good weekend, relaxing weekend. I went over to my buddy's house, shot some pool, did a little barbecue, and also helped him put up his Halloween decorations. So now his house is officially the first one on the block with everything. And then here's the best part: is his house is so crazy on Halloween decorations. I don't think the neighbors are gonna be too happy. Only because having that as your neighbor, he's like the one neighbor that's like way into it, and he's got skeletons everywhere and skeletons all over his house. The house where you would stop and take pictures. That's his house, and he did it early too. Yeah, no. Out here, it's it's one of the like fun holidays is when you're a kid. It was probably my favorite as a kid, growing up, because you would just go and get a bunch of candy. Can't beat that. So market's in an interesting spot. It's oversold. It depends what kind of indicators you use. I don't really think too much about indicators, but there are stocks that are resting on rising moving averages. So it would just be interesting to see, how this EMPH or something like FSLR responds if the market begins to bounce. Because the market, in my opinion, too much, too fast, and not like I'm looking to buy anything today, but if this starts to do an oversold rally, then it'd be interesting to see what holds up. Yeah, this move down is too much, too fast. Yeah, 15% in like 3 weeks. It's just maybe four. 5 weeks. It's just too much. Like something like this snow, right? It's been building higher lows for the last couple of months now. And it's basically right here at this trend line. It'll be interesting to see if this market does give an oversold rally, and something like snow can begin to set itself up for down the road. Snow could be a good one much further down the road. Not much further down the road, but market just needs to get its act together. No, there's not much for setups today. You know, Nothing perfect. I mean, again, I am watching something like Amazon to see if it starts to get over Friday's high. You know, Something like this. Oh, a little high. Where are we at? 116. So if it starts to get over this Friday's high, right? Because these are its lows. So even though this is an ugly ass pullback and below all moving averages, if it starts to get over these highs and starts to build out a base again, this is really a higher low, right? It didn't go and build new lows. So, not like I'm trying to buy it, but I'm just really trying to see how these names react. Remember, it's names like Apple, Amazon, Google, Microsoft. They're going to drag the market higher or lower. The thing that I keep looking at is how much higher Apple is from its June lows. Still 15% up from its June lows. God forbid Apple goes and pulls a Microsoft, right? If Apple's going to go and make a brand new 52-week low, the market has so much more lower it will go, which is, scary, shitty, all the other adjectives you can think of. If Apple's got to go back down to 120, 130, the market's fucked. The market will be in so much trouble because this thing's so heavily weighted, meaning Microsoft will still go lower, Google will still go lower, Amazon will still go lower. I mean, Apple will drag everything with it, and nothing will look good. Oh, what a nice setup right in here. Nice and tight. Gone. Really nice setup. Yeah, so I'm hoping we get an oversold rally, and names like Apple can begin to work themselves back up above moving averages. Because if this thing were to get back and make 52-week lows, it would be it'd be bad. Yeah, PDD on my radar. It's a very possibility that if it gets over Friday's highs, 62. It could be building up higher lows on the daily, finding support on the rising 50. Those are all good things to see. The problem is I don't really see a lot of other Chinese names participating. I saw some XPEV news this morning. I also saw that it kept up, something about, I don't know, the CEO buying like 2 million shares or some shit. So, that's cool. It's always a positive sign, right? When the CEO is willing to go down with the ship. Usually insiders know a little bit something better about their company that most don't. So insider buying is always nice. But again, I've got an expectation that the market should have a oversold rally, but that doesn't mean there's any buyable setups. I don't really see too many buyable pivots, but things need a little work. We've been saying it for a week, and things need a week. All right, let me give my dogs a bone really quickly. All right, come on, guys. Yeah, things really got their butt kicked, huh? This CALX is building out a nice base. It's definitely got a seller up in the 62s, but we'll see. This does not look like a lot of names out there, huh? This does not look like a lot of names out there. Bitcoin still looks terrible. Under this 18,000, who knows what starts to happen. I mean, it's been trying, but just imagine if... can I flip this? I wonder if these futures can be flipped. Yeah. Imagine if a chart looked like this. I'd be charting it just like that and looking for a breakout over 18,300 or a short, I guess. But if this were a long setup, I would be so interested. Which one? One more time? AE what? Oh, nerve? Yeah. Yeah, I saw that. Just needs a little more time. Just needs a little more time. The other one that you mentioned a while ago was this RXDX. Would be nice to see this thing flatten out, but maybe we'll just find some support on the rising 50. This thing's an absolute monster. Not a lot of overhead. NBIX is another that's still holding up incredibly well. Bit slow, but VRTX is another. ABBV is another. So these like healthcare bio names are still holding up pretty dang well. I don't know what CALX does. Let me find out. But if they're in that space as well, no, they're software application. ENVX. Um, well, it depends where you entered. If you got in the 12s or at 15, then I probably would have used this stop, below this EP. 1850, basically. Has to hold this low. I wouldn't have wanted to see it get into the gap, and if it does, the stocks normally like to refill their gap, so. But a close below the 20 would have been ideal, and it happened 2 sessions ago, so I want Thursday. Thursday would have been the exit. AMPS doesn't look too bad as well. Some of these names are just holding up incredibly well. This one's thin though. For a $10 name, not enough volume. Yeah, MAXN, SPWR. I mean, some of these names have held up really well. They just aren't ready for higher, right? They need to consolidate. There's not some, super safe entry you'd love to have here. So, but they are potentially building higher lows, right? I mean, the stock could just be finding support on the rising 50. We don't really know. Good luck, guys. Market's open. I'm just kind of expecting an oversold bounce in the market, so my eyes are glued to Apple. You know, it's gonna be the one that ends up. It's your market leader. It's the one that carries the most weight. I'm not interested in really buying anything right at the open, so I'm just watching the market leader and seeing how she reacts. Again, just my own expectation. It was an oversold rally, but I'm not going to argue with price. I'm not going to wish upon an oversold rally. If things keep selling off, then it's just time to sit on the hands and relax for a little bit. You know, and just see what's left after the carnage. And who knows? This calm's just been a monster too. Total opposite direction of the market. Did you see it? Yeah. ABBV is another one that looks pretty nice. We'll see. But right now I'm just eyeing Apple, really. Just seeing how this thing reacts. Apple acting well. It's really the name I'd like to see act well. Like I said, it's the one that carries the most weight. The market follows Apple. Yeah, I mean, again, I don't really know what options are available when the market is this oversold. EMPH, beauty, could have been a higher low setup possibly, or a dip buy, whatever. What would undercut rally could have been another play down here, but not usually something that I love buying because this isn't a breakout, but oftentimes, you guys know I like buying over the previous day's high, and this is a past leader potentially finding support on the rising 50. It didn't close below the 50. It found support on it and closed above it. So now we start to break over that Friday's high, and then use today as a stop of low day. Sometimes I take entries like that. I'm going to pass on it, but oftentimes this is a trade that I will take. It's just such a crummy market, but risk is kind of small in this scenario, and then if this thing ends up working its way back towards highs and market ends up getting its shit together and these solars resume, that's you'll have been looking really good with that kind of an entry. You're basically getting in before the crowd because in these bear markets, one of the things you guys have probably noticed is breakouts don't work so well. So figuring out and learning alternative ways to take safe entries in stocks is important, for when conditions aren't exactly how you'd like them to be. I mean, as much as I'd like to tell you guys breakouts work all of the time, guaranteed it, that's not how it works. Yeah, Snow finding support. Yeah, that's great. Again, another one of those where you could have bought, over Friday's high, you know, stop at low a day. You got to be aware of what you're risking in this situation, but there's your risk. And, what are your feelings? What are your thoughts about the oversold conditions in the market? How do you feel about Snow? What's your position sizing? Do you like the fact that it's holding this trend line? breaking back over Friday's highs, knowing that the market is oversold, you know, essentially, if the market is oversold and you believe it's going to rally today, a lot of stocks aren't going to rally, right? So, you're not really buying. You remember how I always tell you guys, buy stuff when the market's at your back. Again, not a lot of these setups are ideal. So, learning some alternate ways of what you'd like to buy and how you'd like to buy it. But if the market does give a nice little 3, 4, 5 day oversold rally, you know, again, something as stupid as Apple right over Friday's high, or something like Snow right over Friday's high. Those are possibilities, right? But being prepared for them is even more important, so you're not taken by surprise. Like knowing, hey, over Friday's high, if the market begins to rally because it's oversold, I'd like to own, XYZ, and then staring right at it and buying it. Now, I passed, but again, this could very well be a higher low on the daily, guys. DCPH. Yeah, it just needs a little bit of time. But dude, these pharma bio names are acting still really well. Like some of the best in the bunch, dude. Like even RxDX coming back. LTHM possibly finding support on the rising 50. We don't know. But again, this could have been another one over Friday's high. Could have had your interest. Now again, I don't think it's perfect. I'd rather just wait. But again, market was a bit oversold in my personal opinion. And opinions don't pay, only price action does. So, but this is the type of setup that I would take, especially knowing market conditions were oversold. And again, risk could be pretty small on something like this. You're buying $150 stock and buying 151 and a half, and you're risking $2. You know what your risk is, and that's always the most important part. I always love knowing what my risk is. I love knowing how much I can lose, and then that way I can decide, quickly and what kind of proper size I need, without overthinking. And again, if Apple fails here and starts to break down and really break Friday's lows, it's going to look like carnage out in the market. And if you can't own Apple, you can't own anything, all right? Other than the inverse names like SQQQ and QID and whatever the fuck the other one is. All right? So if like Apple won't work, nothing's going to work. I mean, damn near. So good to keep in mind. That's why I'm watching Apple. Again, there's not much to trade out here right now, but I believe oversold rally. So, I'm just watching to see how the thesis plays out, really. But Apple looks good in comparison to like a Microsoft or Google or Amazon. Apple looks fucking good. Look at this LVS, Las Vegas Sands coming right back. Remember we talked about this one earlier last week, and I was like, nah, it's kind of gapping out of this range, and it's for no reason, blah blah blah. I was on this day. Sure enough, pulled back, failed, and came. What did it do? This, by the way, guys, is this what you want to see stocks doing? See, this isn't an egg, like on Friday, and then it just ends up gapping up big time, right back over all moving averages. Like that's institutional interest. So something like this name LVS should stay on watch. So we'll see. Not something I would buy today. Oh, and right underneath it on my scan is Win. That's funny. Holy shit. LI. Wow. Wow. LI. Are you kidding me? KLI. TCOM another. Hopefully Sava shaping up. Yeah, Frey is strong again. Frey had one of those, weird weeks, weekly charts. Would like to see price flatten out. It's just like stuck in this stupid channel, and I hate channel. Like I hate. I mean, I don't hate, but I don't really like channels like this. I don't really like these. I like price to flatten. I like setups like this, or like this, or sometimes even like that. Oh wait, I already drew that one. Well, that's basically, or flat channels like this. But I don't like these. No, not my. That's not my. It's not what I like. I like the first variation of the first three. Yeah, well, sometimes it's buy the bad news and sell the good. FSLR right back up above the 20 on the daily. Impressive. My dogs have got they're feeling playful this morning. I don't like channels because they don't ever really tighten up. They're just stuck in a channel. So it's like hard to limit your risk in a channel. I mean, unless you buy the bottom of the channel and then sell the top, and buy the bottom, sell the top, whatever. But yeah, this next hour will be an interesting one. AMPS. this is going to be an interesting week. Guys, definitely an interesting week in the markets. When things get this oversold, you got to be cautious, especially when there's no leading groups. That's they're this oversold, and if you don't get a bounce, you get a crash, and this environment is pretty conducive to a crash. It's like nobody really things are bad. Nobody really expects one, but the markets are trending down, and there are no leaders. That could lead to a very ugly scenario. A very ugly scenario. And obviously, it was pretty visible in what happened in the pound versus the yen yesterday, JPY. Yeah, this was ugly. This was not very common. This morning this thing was looking absolutely destroyed. In 4 days, for it to have a drop like that is, very uncommon. So, the forex market's looking. Global currencies don't look good. Again, I don't really think about stuff like that too much. I just focus on my setups, but something in the machine is broken. Yeah, Amazon, another that just hit my alert. Yeah, see, these are, again, names like Amazon possibly breaking out over Friday's highs. Names like Apple are bouncing out over Friday's highs. They're not textbook setups. These aren't breakout setups, guys. These are possible higher low setups on the daily. Something totally different. Something that I don't recommend you guys, start experimenting with just yet. This isn't far from ideal. But again, sometimes I ask myself, like, what are the 5-10 names in the stock market, that you'd feel like are in like this forever up channel, right? And something like Costco, Apple, Amazon, Google, like, yeah, we're in this really ugly downtrend period. But, when we look back 10, 15 years, 20 years from now, like, where will Amazon, Apple, all these names be? So sometimes, you want to figure out a way for an alternate methods to get into the names that you believe will continue to lead the American stock market for the next, 2-3 decades to come. And, every now and again you're going to get these down periods, but, if this is a higher low on the daily and it's breaking out over Friday's highs, there are people here that are interested. Maybe not me so much, right? But, there are definitely going to be people here that are interested. And again, if a name like Amazon and Apple and Microsoft and Google are going to go higher, well, people's opinions won't matter because the stock market will go higher. Like had you bought Apple here over Friday's high and you had your stop at low, there are people buying this, obviously. People with big money. So if these names end up working, this Apple, Amazon, I wasn't so much interested in Tesla because I knew it had tons of work to do to get over Friday's high, but, Apple not so much. Didn't have as much work to do, so. And again, if names like this go on to end up working, it doesn't matter. Oh, God. Yeah, stop with that, dude. Yeah, even an EMPH over Friday's high. Stop at low. It's a setup I take all the time, too. And even there briefly, it had you up over 1-to-1 on your risk reward. Those are the kind of setups that I like, that can get you in the money quickly. Again, it's not an ideal breakout setup. This is called a dip buy setup, right? The stock dips, find support on the rising 50, and then you're buying it as it's turning back up. And you're in well before the crowd because all the breakout buyers, they're all maybe trying to long it over this downtrend line. So, you're in well before all the breakout buyers with a 181 or 282 average. 281, 282, somewhere in there. And meanwhile, Apple's doing exactly what you would expect for an oversold rally in the market. Again, I didn't take a position, so. But it was good to have seen it live and mention it before it started working and the why I would take something like it and where I would enter. And how much of it you would buy. Those are a lot of little questions you might ask yourself. It's how I would play it. But again, who knows? CALX, yeah, CALX looks cool. I wouldn't touch it just yet. Something about it doesn't feel complete. Like I almost like that Apple setup from down here better. As dumb as that sounds. Just because our market's so oversold and this thing's hanging out super well. So if you believe that the market's oversold, you know, Apple is the about the only name that can carry the entire market higher all by its damn self. So again, wasn't perfect. Amazon was another that I had on the radar. Not nearly as perfect either. Also more overhead. Not nearly as strong. Apple, on the other hand, monster. But yeah, I'm gonna keep my eyes on this name today. It's got interest in the rest of the market, and this name will lead the way. You think HKD's about to fly? Okay. Yeah, it's nice to see these inverses going back down. QID. Nice. SDS. LRN. Just another channel. Hate these things. I dislike channels like this. Just can't do it. Just cannot do it. But Apple, woo wee. That's what I'm talking about, Apple.
They should change the stock's name to JTR.
Why is that?
Jack the Ripper.
How am I checking for overhead? Simple. With looking at how far it is from its high. You know, Apple's has 17% overhead. It's down 17% from its all-time highs. That's super small overhead compared to Amazon. Amazon's down, 40% from its highs. There's a lot more people losing money there. Especially if you bought within the last year. Um, yeah, Apple's average daily range is 2.5%, and right now it's up 2% from its low, I believe. Right? I think so. Or from the close, should I say? Yeah, it's up 2% from Friday's close. That doesn't necessarily mean that's where it's got to top out. Some stocks can have much bigger average daily range days than normal. It just we don't really know what kind of market we're in right now. Nothing about this market is giving like tight candles. Nothing about this market is doing anything like in the ordinary. Everything is it's very tricky out here. Things are wide and loose. Things are breaking down. Things are flying back up. Bad news is getting ripped up on higher news. Good news is getting dumped. I mean, right? Didn't you just say Lee had not great news? So, but again, oversold rally, just my expectation. Again, I have no idea. You know, I have no idea how long it ends up working or not working for. All I know is what my expectations are, and I'm just trying to react when things are set up properly, and things are like meeting my expectations. Right now things are kind of doing what I'm not expecting, other than maybe like Apple, and if the market bounces, I'll have been right about that. But like I keep getting stopped out of breakouts because we're not in a breakout market, so I just have to be a little bit more patient. Or figure out alternative ways to get into these things, like, maybe buying an Apple over Friday's high and, setting a tight stop on it. Who knows? Because again, like I said, if Apple begins to fail today's low and then break Friday's low, it's going to be absolute fucking carnage out there. Believe that. Believe that. Our market already looks like shit. If Apple doesn't bounce, it's a scary scenario. I wouldn't be holding not a damn position if that happens. So, you know, just caution out there. That's all. That's why I'm watching Apple and I'm not looking to get aggressive. When there are setups, there will be setups. Again, you could have taken something like EMPH over Friday's high, Apple over Friday's high, possible dip buy setups, a higher low setup for Apple on the daily, dip buy setup for EMPH on the daily, FSLR right back up over its 20, which is an absolute monster. It's showing you that solar still has life and plenty of strength. But, it's tough to get excited out here, that's for sure. It's like one or two little names and setups working. I mean, that's not fucking... Yeah, and that could mean that a stock like Apple, with its average true range, could top out after, whatever, a $4.50 move. But that doesn't mean it can't just hang out then near its highs all day, right? After it makes that move. So keep that in perspective. It could just consolidate right up near the very highs and then keep going. This thing could push right out to 153 and a half, and then just hang out right near the highs, right up against the declining 10-day on the daily, right? And then just pause right here and then just consolidate a couple hourly candlesticks for the rest of the day, and you don't know what tomorrow brings, right? But if you were ready for it, then you would have had an entry at 150, 140. $2 risk, and you'd be up about $1 right now. And again, Apple looks all right. Like I said, I expected a oversold rally. As bad as things are, the rubber band can only get stretched so far to one direction before it snaps. So, two scenarios: either the rubber band snaps and we go into this ugly free fall capitulation, or we bounce. I mean, there's really, we either get a stock market crash, an ugly ass crash, or we get a correction. And I'm not expecting the world to end, so I don't understand why there'd have to be a crash. I understand why things are pulling back. I understand, how ugly inflation and, interest rates hikes, and I understand those things, but, I'm a eternal optimist. Always optimistic. I'm always looking for strength. I'm always looking for what can be good. And, yeah, I'll react if things look really, really, really bad, but at the end of the day, they were looking really bad on Friday. Real bad. And how much worse is something supposed to look, I mean, what's the expectation? How much worse can something really freaking get? And the answer is really bad. The answer is things can get really bad. So you want to stay nimble and you don't want to get aggressive. Guys, there's going to be a time when I'm going to have 50 alerts popping off, and I'm not going to be looking to buy this bullshit down here. These dip buy setups, higher low setups below moving averages because I'm trying to play some oversold rally. Like, it's not the ideal scenario we want to be finding ourselves in, with the market we're in. It's not perfect. I want to be buying breakouts in a healthy uptrending market, with multiple leading sectors. you know this out here. This is a hard dollar environment, you know. And again, you guys can scalp opening range highs too. Like when I was a day trader, you know, that would have been a trade that I took. You know, Apple, nice big size over 151 and a half, and then just scalped it for $1.50 or $1, and scalped it on, you know, pretty big size, and, you know, done. 15-minute trade and done. You know, but since I like to swing trade, you know, I usually like this charts to look a little bit better so I can hold them for a longer period of time. Oh, AbbVie. It's not looking too good, huh? Hmm. How are these others looking? Microsoft finally putting in a green day. We'll see if what it does tomorrow. It would be nice to see some of these names start pushing, especially Microsoft and Apple. You know, they carry so much damn weight to the market. You know, as long as those two names can be stabilized, and here's another one too. Maybe this is starting to work itself a higher low on the daily. You know, we won't know until later. It's always hindsight, right? It's higher lows are always hindsight. You look back and you're like, oh man, that was a nice higher low. So, you know, it's why I've always tried to figure out an alternative method for getting into those. If you know, if you can find a safe entry for those, and you know, study them and then even practice them in real time with small size, you know, like an Apple, like we were just talking about before market open. You know, that's a legitimate daily setup. Just got to know where you'd like to buy and how much of it you're supposed to buy, and the reason why you'd buy it. You know, I would buy something like that because I thought the market was oversold, and I believed we needed to rally. You know, but it's not like I would then up and break all my rules and go stupid ass on my sizing. You know, there's only certain times I break my rules and go crazy on sizing, and it's when the setup is perfect, it's in the right sector, market's uptrending, and you know, a few other names have kind of proven the sector right. You know, so it's really not even a guess. It's not even guesswork. You know, it's like I almost know for sure what's going to happen. But in this market, it's all guesswork. FSLR, man. CMPH is acting well too. You know, and again, guys, think about it. If the market does give an oversold rally for 3 to 5 days, EMPH will be right back up in its range. You know, it'll be right back up above 300. Yeah. Yeah. 3 to 5 day momentum bursts in either direction. You just got to understand the setup. And that's exactly what I usually look for. 3 to 5 day momentum bursts, and then by day 3, you know, as long as the move percentage wise or dollar wise has been good, I'm looking to peel some shares, and then I, you know, trail the rest on the now ascending moving average. Yeah. But again, if I see something like EMPH give a 3 day momentum burst, right, and the market was oversold, and the market also bounces for 3 to 5 days, and okay, fine, EMPH then gets to 310, call it, right? And then the market begins to pull back again. But the market, let's just say, doesn't tank anymore. Like the market's done completely bleeding, and the market just needs to pull back and take a little day or two breather. Well, if EMPH is truly strong, what's it going to do? It's going to be above all moving averages, and then it's also going to pull back. And now these moving averages are going to be ascending. So now EMPH has the ability and the chance to find support on now rising moving averages. So yeah, I don't want to buy it after 3 to 5 days. I would have wanted to buy like this little pullback buy setup. You get 3 to 5 days out of it. Sell a piece at 305, 310 if if that were like the lucky ideal scenario. Wait for it to set up again, get tight, flatten out, and then buy the breakout. Add to it later. When the market turns back up. So, yeah, I mean, I'm not suggesting if this thing gets to the top of the range that you look to buy it after 5 straight green days in a row. I mean, that would be completely ass backwards. There would be no form of tight. Coming off of these lows right to the top after a 15-20% move. I wouldn't be looking to buy this breakout if it happened in 3 days. I'd be looking to short that breakout. But again, that's just me. Not like I would actually short it, but my mentality would be we're definitely not buying this thing up here. Not without it tightening up and going sideways. But it would have to push up. Yeah, Apple looks cool. Nothing to do for me out here. Just scan. That's all I can do. Look for strength. Apple would have been about the only thing I would have considered. Literally, Apple would have been the only name, or EMPH too. I guess I could have been ready for this one too. Over Friday's high. It's the only name. Everything else is total crapshoot. The reason I would go with Apple is it's a little bit slower. You can get pretty good money to work without major risk. It's a little bit slower, and again, it's it's your market general. The market will follow Apple, literally. If Apple pushes back up into, the 165s, guaranteed the market pushes back up to 180s or 380s. It's just the way of the world. Apple carries that much weight. But, nothing's perfect. His VRTX is really strong. Price is finally starting to flatten out a little bit, kind of what I like to see. I was hoping AbbVie would begin to push, but this little pullback here, unless it starts to shaping up over the next 3-4 days, who knows? It could just be rejecting this declining 100. It's not ideal. I've got an alert set over these tops, so we'll see. Because AbbVie doesn't look bad. It also doesn't have much overhead, and it's an uptrending name. Yeah, even this market, it's a real weak bounce attempt. Like really, really, really weak. It's first 40 minutes of the day, so I don't want to judge it too hard, but like I said, it's early, but not exciting, that's for sure. And I would love to see this TLT start to go higher, man. It would really be nice to see TLT and start to bounce. Our markets doesn't feel like it's going to go higher until TLT does. 20-year Treasury bond notes. We'll see. Same with our dollar. This thing's got to stop going vertical. And this dollar is officially going vertical. This is another reason why I believe our market's close to bottoming. This move up is unsustainable too. So, sooner rather than later, guys. Man, Las Vegas Sands. If this thing can go sideways in one more week, just one more week, maybe 2 more weeks, that would be really nice. Really fucking nice. TCOM as well. Just, I don't see a clean supply line. That's my tough part about these. I need to see a clean supply line so I could be like, all right, over this spot I'm buying. Below this spot I'm like, I don't really know exactly where I would buy something like that. It's not clean. I need clean. Yeah, MLCO. Something about these resort and entertainment stocks. MLCO, what just hit? Las Vegas Sands alert just hit. Yeah, resorts and casinos. MLCO, I just had LVS hit an alert. And then WYNN. Look at how strong these are. MGM. Now this one's kind of a weak turd, but resort and casino names. Interesting, honestly. Seen this MLCO. I mean, this is a hell of a move right here. Massive volume this early on, already trading, way more than average volume. Plus, it's, again, this is a bottom beaten setup, but it's breaking out of this little, this $6.50 range. Pretty clear, crystal clear range right here. Nice little rectangular range on the daily. Sorry, that color's an eyesore. And it's breaking out of that range. It's interesting to see. Interesting to see. Plus, of course, now Apple's ripping up even higher. Markets in this oversold bounce. And these casino names look pretty good. Weird. I wonder if it's football's got anything to do with that. People traveling. Whatever. Cool to see. Who knows how this ends up setting up? Oxy. Nice to see. A little oversold bounce as well for Oxy. Spy's bouncing pretty well. And again, Apple would have been the only name that I would have even considered. Literally in these conditions, I took a little trade on Friday, which I'm still obviously holding, for an oversold bounce, and it is CCJ. Obviously, I'd been talking about this name for a while. I was stopped out because of that gap down, but then as it started to approach this 824's low, I knew that the low of the day was 2470, and I also liked how it was approaching the 200 day, and I also believed our market was oversold, so I did end up getting myself into CCJ down here and piecing myself in. So it barely undercut by 4 cents and then started to rally. So almost like as an undercut rally setup, one that I had talked about before. I didn't get in right at the very bottom, but I started to piece myself in on the move back up. And, you know, I like the theme the most personally. And it's still well above its 200. So, this could be a higher low on the daily. I have no idea. I honestly have no fucking clue. But, again, since breakouts aren't working, you gotta try out other alternate methods to get in these damn names. Look at this day Apple's having. Nice. Yeah, that's how you'd want to have executed Apple, and we talked about it pre-market, right? This is a name that I mentioned pre-market. How would you get into this over Friday's high? Set your stop at low of day. There's your risk, and now you're up $2. You were risking two, and now you're, and you were risking two, and now you're up two, right? So at this point, your stop shouldn't be at low of day anymore, in my opinion. Your stop should be, look on a smaller time frame and look at like a smaller pivot, right? And I don't really see anything because this thing just kind of went vertical. But worst case scenario, you should start to inch your stop up near break even. And I take trades like this, guys, all the freaking time. And so, it's a trade where you're not right, so it's not like you're not like raising your hit rate essentially, but it's a no harm no foul kind of trade. You knew where to buy, you bought the right amount, it's pushing, it's working, but it won't be a losing trade no matter what anymore. And again, you had the right idea. You're looking at the very best name in the market, possible higher low, getting up over Friday's high. Again, I mentioned EMPH. I would have executed it the exact same way. And this would have been like a dip buy setup. Oh, cleaning lady's here. Give me a second, let her in. CELH was so clean. Yeah, it found support on the rising 100. You could have launched it over Friday's high. It's again, these are just, you have to learn the setups. Again, the traditional breakout setup in a bear market does not work. It's just, and I've not painfully had to learn the experience because I've been sizing down on breakouts. Or I've been, using multiple buys to get myself into a breakout. But, sometimes playing these higher low setups on the daily, undercut and rallies, dip buy setups, studying them and learning them are important, and how you would execute something like that. And again, I told you guys pre-market, like, what would I buy? It would have been something like Apple. I just had it on watch. It's been a top watch all day. It'll continue to be a top watch all day. I have no plans on trading it. But it is exactly how I would have executed it. Right over Friday's high, stop at low of day. Now you got the $2 push that what your initial risk was, and now you just move your stop up. And because this could be easily rejecting the declining 10-day on the daily, right? But again, my opinion is the market is still oversold, and the market will continue to rally. And if it does, Apple should also continue to rally. Apple should very well lead the way, right? So at this point, if you took a trade like this, your stop should be break even. Your stop should not be low of day. You should not be taking a loss on this anymore. And if you do, your loss shouldn't be a full $2. It should be cut in half, by now. So, how would I really move my stop up personally? I would look at the close of Friday, and I would put my stop there. It would have to bounce off at the very least at Friday's close, right? So something like 150.50. It would have to pull back and hold there. So now at this point, at worst, you're risking $1 instead of $2. And I wouldn't want to be nice and bright green, $2, only to watch myself lose $1. Not at this point. No way. Your entry was fine, your sizing was fine, but now it's like I won't even take a loss on the thing. I would take a flat trade. No harm, no foul type of trade. It's what I tell myself all the time. No harm, no foul. You found yourself with the right entry. You bought proper size, and now you're not losing. And it began to work, and now we're not losing any money. You know, because my expectation is what that price begins to move away from my average, and it goes out, it stays out. Right? That's my expectation for a strong stock, especially like Apple. Apple's not some total piece of shit name. Apple's Apple. And Apple carries the most amount of weight of any name in the entire indices. It's like 7.5% or something stupid for the Qs or the SPY, you know, or whatever, 5% or whatever the hell the number. It's big, right? So whatever Apple does, the market does. Apple sneezes, the market sneezes. Apple rips, the market's ripping. And it's just, the way of the world. So it would have been the only name I would have been interested in today, but I'm in no real rush to do anything in this market. I'd almost rather be on vacation. Las Vegas Sands, unbelievable too. This thing is building out a nice chart. It's so surprising in this environment to see this. I mean, gambling casino stocks, fucking people got no money, and this MLCO is going fucking stupid. Almost up 20% in a day, 17% in a day, 18% today. Holy shit. Man, wouldn't that be nice? And I saw this on my Gap scanner today too, but it was on no news. But it was on no freaking news. And the volume that's coming into this thing, I mean, look at these volume candlesticks in comparison to anything from the past. Wild. Just wild. Yeah, S&P, Apple 7.3 weight. Yeah. So again, speaks to my point, what Apple does, the rest of the world runs on Apple. If Apple goes up, that's great for all your other stocks. If Apple goes down, that's not so great for all your other stocks in general, right? And obviously, Microsoft carries some similar kind of weight, and so it's nice to see both of them working. And the fear is when you see Apple still up 14% from its lows, if Apple decides to pull itself a Microsoft, expect pain, big time pain for everything else. EDU, nice bounce back today too. Massive moves by these names, man. Holy shit. Oh wow, even Bitcoin bouncing today, huh? Riot's up there with some pretty big volume. Oh, it's looking better than Mara in terms of volume. Which one? Yeah, it's on my radar. I mean, it's on my scan. I just, no perfect setup just yet, but, you know, that news that they had, I mean, dude, they legitimately, they make one of the best potential Alzheimer's drugs out there. So if they haven't like fudged any of their data, and what they're saying is true, and if their medicines are true, I mean, Sava deserves to be so much higher. You know, their share structure. I won't be surprised if this thing's back up over $100 sooner rather than later. CALX too. What a nice day. Holy shit, man. Over Friday's highs. That thing was, man. Nice move. But there's not much else on my scan, honestly. Tesla, really nice move from the lows. If this thing takes out Friday's highs, that would be a crazy bullish engulfing candle. Not only did it wash out lower, it pushed out and took out highs. That would be, and if it closed above that line, that would be a bullish engulfing candle like you've never seen before. That would look amazing. Wouldn't be ideal, but potentially coming up on this flattening or declining 50-day. But hey, potential higher low. This thing just continues to wedge up and flag out. Who knows what this thing looks like in 3 more weeks. The world could be at could be kumbaya in 3 more weeks. Nobody knows. Yeah, this Apple could be finding resistance at the declining 10. We have no idea. Here on the daily, we don't know. All that usually just ends up being hindsight. EMPH though wasn't so bad either. VRTX still does not look bad. These names are so slow, and they're kind of defensive names, like same like TWNK and GIS. Will be nice to see if TLT is done and can make a freaking green day tomorrow too. This name's got to stop going down. LTHM, nice. Another one over Friday's highs would have been a great entry. I dip by as it found support on the rising 50. And who knows? Not ideal, but I had it on watch for a reason. Over 31 was nice. And that's another little piece of advice you guys should take. Narrow your focus. Narrow. It's always important to like find the names you like most. And focus on those. The more you narrow your focus and the more you figure out the price action of just 10, 12 names, the better you'll end up doing. Apple's acting awesome. We shall see. That's crazy to think about too. Apple's 7.3% weight of the S&P 500. Wild. That's how big Apple is. And I get a lot of questions too. I've been asked on Twitter a lot if I'm familiar with the VIX and why it hasn't spiked. And the reason that I don't believe the spike in the VIX has been as crazy as some people have been expecting is because not every single industry has been coming down at one time. So not really at one point over the last like 12 months, um, has every single industry come down at the same time. So volatility's never really picked up. It's just been kind of a sector rotation bringing them down one by one. and slowly bringing down consumer names and slowly bringing down retail names and slowly bringing down, you know, SPAC names and slowly bringing down, whatever it is. And just sector by sector by sector, it's never been a market wide thing all at once. And so that's why I don't believe the VIX has spiked, like a lot of people have been anticipating. Do, do, do. I don't know, guys. I don't see shit to do today other than to monitor any positions you might have open. I'm keeping my eye on Apple. I'm keeping my eye on Oxy. I kind of want to know how Energy's looking, and really, Oxy's the only name. Oxy and LNG are the only real names that I care to see how Energy are looking. LNG, obviously, a leader, but I've got most interest in Oxy. It's the name I'd like to own if it ever sets up again. So we'll be watching that, and then of course, a name like EMPH, FSLR. I've got big interest in Tesla. I've got some interest in LTHM. I have some interest in, and then obviously names that are still holding up like VRTX, um, CALX, CALM, AMPS. This one's too thin. I won't play it, but it's nice to see these mid cap names still working. So I'm just narrowing my focus into names that I would potentially see myself owning later down the road. You know, with this CPRX, maybe another one. I actually don't mind this pullback, and then this thing could perk back up and go sideways, and these moving averages would be nice and tight. But no predictions. And then obviously CCJ, still one of my favorite names in the whole market, but again, no opinions. We'll just let price action speak for itself. I did buy it on Friday, in the fear, essentially, as it kind of did what I expected. A lot of points of confluence down here. That's why I was so interested in it. But, yeah, no opinions. Just following price. Nice to see Amazon over Friday's highs, Apple over Friday's highs, EMPH over Friday's highs, FSLR same deal. I mean, those are pretty healthy signs. If Tesla somehow could muster up a move over 285, that would be insane. Be a hell of a daily candle. Again, while the market's bouncing, that would be something special. Would be a nice move. But we got a lot of day left. And again, this could just easily and very well be a decline of a rejection of the declining 10. Very well could be a rejection of the declining moving averages. But it's always hindsight. But again, even something on this, if you took it at 151 and a half, my stop would be at break even. It wouldn't even be a red trade. again, silly as this sounds, I also will keep my eye on Bitcoin. I always do. Part of the reason that I like to keep my eye on Bitcoin is because I know that's where, when there's extra money and excess money in the market, that's where it goes. So when Bitcoin's going higher, there's just excess liquidity in the market. It's always nice to see. Gosh, INSW, man. No chill. PLL off my watch. Do do do. Yeah. Yep. When I see Bitcoin and Bitcoin's going up, guys. Ask yourself this. Okay, ask yourself: do either you or anybody you know have Bitcoin in a wallet that they currently use to make real purchases? To buy a car, to buy groceries, to go to the movie theater, to go to, to buy a house, to pay for a service, to, like, ask yourself, of all the people in your life, including yourself, how many do you know actually use Bitcoin for real day use? Okay, the 40 of us in this room, 38 of us will say, okay, I don't even own any Bitcoin. And then the few of us that do own any Bitcoin will say, I just own it. It just sits there. It's got no real fucking use. It's got no real use, guys. It's Tulip 2.0. And the only reason it goes up, and it went up big time, is because there was so much extra money in the market, people didn't even know where to fucking put it. All right? And they just went to Bitcoin. Bitcoin's not some commodity like oil and gas that's running out in the world. It's got no real utilitarian use. I can't eat a Bitcoin. I can't, you can't really do shit with the Bitcoin, guys. It just sits there. And you got to ask yourself the real truth. How many of you guys know somebody that's got Bitcoin that currently uses it in the real world for real world purchases? Okay, the answer is like fucking nobody. So it's as speculative as it gets. It's a real piece of shit. It's got no real tangible value. And if that's the case, and it only goes up when the market's going up, then you got to understand it's just a speculative, it's a speculative thing. It's not some, there's nothing with Bitcoin. It's a piece of shit. It's speculation at its finest. And that's totally fine. You can make money on that. When the market heats up again and the Fed pivots and they start injecting liquidity back into the market, Bitcoin will go up, and then all the Bitcoin pumpers will say, "See, it was just a dip. It's just you had to buy the dip." No, it's because there's when there's less liquidity in the market and the market's going down, Bitcoin's the first to go. When there's extra liquidity in the market, Bitcoin will catch up. Is that to say that there won't be some, future use for Bitcoin down the road? Yeah, maybe. But it's not some hedge against inflation. That's total bullshit. It's gone down as inflation's gone up. It's as speculative as thing as there's ever been. It's a Tulip 2.0. Ask the Dutch how that turned out. Back in the day, the Dutch used to pay the price of a mansion for a fucking tulip. I mean, talk about what jackasses those are. It's like buying Bitcoin at 60,000. Thing's got no fucking value. It's worth whatever people say it's worth, but it only goes up because there's extra money in the market, and it goes somewhere. And it just happens to go to that asset class. I don't understand why, but It's what it does. I wish I had a better answer for everybody. It's just how it works. Whole tulip mania. Would be nice to see this TLT go up though, man. God, that'd be so nice. How's this fix looking? Yeah, would be nice to see it get back under 30. Maybe some previous resistance turning into support. Not necessarily what we want, but because the market and Apple are coming back down. And again, this could have just been Apple finding resistance at the declining 10. It's exactly why I prefer to buy my stocks above, moving averages and not below. But again, if I had taken a trade like this, it would be a flat trade. It wouldn't even be red. It'd be a break-even trade at worst, which is always nice. And I get myself into situations like this all the time. I take flat trades like probably more than anybody because I'm quick to tighten my stop back up. When I get what I expected, which is a push away from that level, I'm not leaving my stop all the way at low. Not a chance. Yeah, smart, man. Look, okay, so and I even said it earlier. Like if you bought something like Apple and you just wanted to scalp it cuz you knew it was a shit ass market, yeah, it's fine. It's totally fine. What sometimes when I used to scalp, I would also buy opening range highs, right? And then I would use something like a 3-minute chart like this, and then I would exit when it closed below the 20 or something like that, or the 5-minute chart or the 10-minute chart, close below the 10 or the 20, depending your average, really, depending on how patient you wanted to be. But something on Apple, had you bought it on this first 10-minute candlestick when it broke out, and then you're using now like the ascending 20, that's totally fine. Your stop's a little bit above break even, so worst case scenario, you make a little bit of coin. you know Best case scenario, it doesn't close below the 20 and it just keeps on going. Best case scenario. And worst case, you make a little. Best case, you make a bunch. And just use a moving average to let it figure out when you're supposed to stop out. Have a good one, North. Enjoy the rest of your day, brother. I won't be here much longer either. Just gonna be watching a little bit of Spy and Apple today. See how they react. Apple's about to be, looks like maybe red on the day, so who knows? It's tough market right now. I don't see a ton to do. Nothing to get excited about out here. Like I said, I'd rather just be patient. Could have easily played EMPH and Apple over Friday's high, but it's just this market sucks too much. Do 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 do. Las Vegas Sands. Holy shit, man. These are strong today. Very strong. Well, it's another one that I've got uh, some interest in. I like their fundamentals. I like their growth story. We just need to set up in a healthy market. Solar's not acting so great right now. Solar's just rejecting declining moving averages. Not ideal. But a bunch of solar names on my scan right now. Array, Nova, SPWR, Run, and EMPH all on my scan at the same time. It's pretty unusual. EMPH 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 names, and half of them are solar. Interesting. Yeah, buying a bounce off EMAs has a higher failure rate, but offers better entry and low risk. It's not that it's lower risk. It's just it's another alternative to buying something. Because again, in this market, you're not breakouts aren't working in a bear market. It's been pretty obvious. Like when I bought this down here, out of this day's high, this technically isn't a breakout. It's still within this range. It's still within these tops. It's still within all this area of supply right up here. So, getting in at like a higher low or as it's finding support on the rising moving average or breaking back into the range, like that could get you in before the crowd, right? It can get you in before the crowd. Or even something like this, like as it's finding, tried to break below the 50, held close green on Friday, and then, buying it today up over Friday's highs. That's basically your belief that okay, the market should bounce a little bit higher because we're oversold, and EMPH is taking out Friday's high, so it's technically, holding the rising 50-day. I mean, it's really flattening, but it's rising, so it's holding the rising 50-day, and it's not a breakout. It's still within this entire range. Like if you were to literally look at this, you'd be like, if this is your range, you'd be like, yep, that's definitely still in a range. And so you're still buying it when it's in a range, but you're buying it as it's bouncing off the 50. It's another alternate way into getting into a stock, before, you know, again, buying it at 280 or buying it at 320. You know, a lot of breakout buyers were waiting for that 320. But if you were able to buy some at, 380 or 280, and then it, consolidates, and gets up above 300, and then you're buying a little piece at like 305 or something, and then a few days later you're buying 320. You're going to manage every new buy like, with its own kind of risk attached to it. Um, but yeah, you're getting in before the crowd and you're bringing up your average into something that's working versus, you know, buying something as it's not working for you. Like if you bought, um, as it was breaking down on Thursday, and then you bought a little bit more on Friday, and then you bought it go a little more on set. Like that's not what I want to do. I don't want to buy shit as it's going down. I'd rather bring up my average into something that's working versus bring my average down into something that's not. And just piece yourself in smaller buys. It's not an ideal breakout. We're in a still crummy market. Man, this VRTX is starting to take really nice shape. Really, really, really nice shape. Slow, but who cares? Slow, but who cares? Yeah, it's a similar pattern to other squeezers like BBBY. Stays flat. No, 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 no. Sava's not ready. I won't. This is not ready. There's nothing to do in Sava. Just yeah, it's nice. It's strong, but it's not ready. It needs to build out the right hand side of the base. Again, remember a chart that I showed like Dak. Like, Sava's well below all its moving averages here, and then it's, nothing. It finally gets up above, great. And let it set up. Remember Dak. Okay? Remember Dak way down here. It's just out of. Imagine this is Sava for a second. Okay? It's just under moving averages, not doing anything. Finally, it gets up above, great. Here's Sava pulling back, doing whatever. Let it set up. Let it set up because the move that it can give when it gets above the 200 is insane, right? But it's like, there's no need to be in a rush to get in. Just wait for perfect. I'm not afraid that Sava's going to get away from me because of the potential that these names have when they do get above the 200. We have no idea. And Sava, if the FDA really cleared them and what they're doing is legitimate and their Alzheimer's drug is true and institutions are going to be truly interested, this thing's going right back up to the highs. But you need a nice setup. And I don't want to. I just say that, right? Like, oh yeah, it'll go back to the highs, but I have really no fucking clue. I just need a perfect setup, and I don't ever doubt the move a stock can give once it's above the 200. I don't ever want to, say that we're, oh, it's already gone or it's not gone. I have no idea. I'm just going to wait nice and patient for a perfect fucking setup in a healthy market, and then I'll be there to buy it if it gives me those two things. If it doesn't, it doesn't. Whatever. I mean, what are we going to do about it? Nothing to do. Nothing to be mad about, literally. 13,000 other stocks we can trade. We just got to wait for them to get nice and perfect. Yeah, like with Sava, I'm just going to let it go sideways and build out a new fresh base. But any new fresh base that it's going to get, like I would like it to look like that again, at least. Build some higher lows, find support on the rising 20, build out a nice little base right here like it did at 30, find support on the rising 20 again. Like I just want it to be perfect. Give me a tight day. There's nothing about this that's good. Besides, what are you going to buy it at 44? If you loved it so much at 44, why didn't you love it at 23? So, yeah, I'm in no hurry to buy it. Thinking about buying this shit randomly up at 44, well, you should have just bought it randomly at 18. That was about as random as this. That's not true. That's not true. Just because a stock has a 1280 hour day doesn't mean like this. These days are tight. All these days are tight. Those days are all super tight, especially that last one and the day before. Those are tight days. Here's another tight day. Don't think that a 1280 hour name can't have a tight day. You bet your ass it can. That's what I'm saying. Like, be patient. Let things get perfect for you. I know you don't go to the grocery store and just buy bananas because you want bananas. If they're all brown, mushy bananas, you ain't buying fucking bananas. All right? Like, just remember that. Your stocks are like your vegetables, your fruit. You're not going into the grocery store just because you want bananas, just to buy whatever is on the shelf. You're waiting until you go back to the grocery store and they got nice ass bananas for you. And when they do, well, then you're buying. But until then, you ain't buying nothing. And I expect my produce, like my stocks, to be absolutely perfect before I put my money down. Otherwise, I just don't want them because I ain't going to eat them. I'm just going to end up throwing them away and taking a loss. There we go, TLT. Come on now. TLT. Let this be your bottom. Hopefully our dollar's done going higher too, man. This thing is depressing seeing this shit. Break down already, man. Yeah, I literally always tell people that. You gotta wait until your bananas are absolutely perfect. If you wouldn't buy rotten produce at the grocery store, I don't know why you would buy rotten stocks in the stock market. It's the same damn thing.
Great analogy, bro.
Thank you. I mean, but it's true. It's like it's tough to envision it that way. To be like, oh, really? But it's like I'm not going into Whole Foods and buying, you know, mushy vegetables. It's just not happening. I'll go to the next store, or I'll just wait until they restock. And again, everybody who's out here trading these, low, low probability setups, all they're doing is they're paving the way for your safe entry. Everybody out here buying these names and selling them, and institutions doing whatever it is they're doing, these low probability setups, they're everybody who's out here trading and making a chart look perfect for you, they're out here paving the way for your safe entry. Holy EDU, man. What a day for this stock. Holy cow. What a fucking move. Really? 15% move today. Lee. XPEV. Man, Lee's acting the best again. Yeah. Yeah, Sava can get perfect. If it never gets perfect, then it never gets perfect. But, in a couple of weeks, if this continues, the 50 will be over the 200. And this thing will start to look really nice in a couple weeks. What's the SPY up to? Yeah, it looks like shit. Below Friday's close. That's not ideal right now. So much for a strong bounce, huh? That looks like crap. And of course, again, Apple could just easily be rejecting the declining 10. That's exactly why I want to avoid stocks below moving averages. Instead of finding support on the rising 10, it's, finding supply at the rising 10. And again, this market's having a really hard time even staging an oversold rally. I mean, that's, you know, I expected a little bit more so far out of this, and we're not getting it. Interesting spot here for EDU. Basically, right up against the declining 200. Will be interesting to see what this name does tomorrow. Put an alert over today's high. See how it acts tomorrow. I wouldn't buy it tomorrow either, but at least to keep an eye on it. Yeah, TNK. Dude, I was going to take TNK too. Down here. Tight red day. Found support on the rising 20. I was going to take it at 25. I didn't pull the trigger on this day. I did not pull the trigger. I'd still be in it. I'd have probably sold a piece right here. 5 day. I'd still be in. Do do do. What do I think about AMAL? Yeah, this isn't bad. Whoa. It's thin. That's what I really think about it. It's super thin. Like on a day like today, 180,000 share, 30,000 shares. Sorry, 30,000 shares today at $23. It's incredibly illiquid. If you are playing with a smaller account, it's something you can play, but it needs a little bit more time. It needs a little bit more time, or a healthier market. But not a bad eye. However, you're finding things holding up above the 10, 20, 50 is you're doing a good job. However you're scanning and finding setups like this, you're doing a good job. Find names that are a little bit more liquid, and that looks similar. And that's going to be a major problem in this market too, finding things that are more liquid. I mean, this market sucks ass. Wish I could tell you different. Wish I could tell you everything looked great out here, but it doesn't. Things legitimately look like crap. Like I said, I wouldn't have bought a damn thing today. Only thing I would have even considered would have been Apple. Literally. Only thing. And only because, if you believe that the market was due for an oversold rally, then, or even something like PDD, this isn't bad either. Nice pullback after the earnings gap up, and, might be digesting the move at the 50-day and breaking out back up over, finding support on the rising 50. But I have no idea. I don't want to buy anything in this market. I want to be proven right. I want to see nice setups begin to work, even without me in them. And then that's what'll give me confidence that our market's healthier and working. Because right now it's not doing that. The market's not giving you this big vote of confidence that things are healthy and working. Not at all. That's why Apple's my main watch. It does carry the most amount of weight, and like I said, if Apple goes and pulls a Microsoft, it's gonna get real. It's gonna be a massacre out here. So you gotta stay nimble. PDD. Who knows? WFRD. You work for them? Weatherford? Well, they're back up above all moving averages. Maybe they just need a couple of weeks to flatten out, get their shit together. But all in all, I don't know what sector they're in, though. Aren't they oil and gas, I think? Oil and gas equipment services, yeah. Yeah, who knows? Weatherford's is it an egg or is it a tennis ball? That's what you gotta ask yourself. Does this look like an egg or a tennis ball? Looks like a tennis ball. Now the question is, where's the safe entry? I don't see one just yet, but it almost looks like these names are going lower. A lot of these are rejecting declining moving averages. It's not the best sign, but we'll see. Still early in the day. I mean, even on the smaller time frame, EMPH rejected a declining 50. Doesn't look too good. We'll see how it closes. It's why I wasn't willing to take anything today. I would just rather sit on my hands till my merchandise is perfect. Absolutely no reason to get railroaded in this market. Microsoft, Amazon, Google. Yeah, would be nice to see these names shape up, and they're just not doing that at all. Market's even having a hard time staging an oversold rally. It's not good. And usually in these oversold conditions, only really one of two things can happen. You can only either get an oversold rally or something's got to break. You know, and seeing the Forex market break yesterday, well, you know, the pound versus the U.S. dollar. That can't look normal, right? That doesn't look normal. Like, look at that. Look at that drop down in a day. It recovered, but still, you need to be in. You need to be looking for, yeah, LLY. Need to be looking for strength. LLY is one of those. LLY looks great. Damn near no overhead supply. AbbVie another, you know, Calm another, CAL. I mean, there's names. There's names that are holding up really well. this can't even stage an oversold rally. The nice, but I guess the nice part today is it's incredibly low volume. It's the only positive I see. Otherwise, I don't see much else. No other positives. Not about much in this market. I don't see much for a positive around here. You know, TLT's at lows, VIX is moving back up, Apple's going back down, SPY's going back down. I mean, I don't see anything to get excited about out here. It's not a setup in sight. Yeah, the SPY looks like horrible. Horrible. Market bounced for a sustained rally for about 60 minutes this morning. That's not such a positive. We'll see how the day unfolds, guys. We'll see how the day unfolds. I'm not seeing much to do at all. Really? Who knows? Wow, harmonic. Another thin one as well, but a chart holding up really well. I mean, low volume. The only positive I see here. You know, it's not like I'm seeing a bunch of buyers line up to buy this dip, but with this low volume, it could just very well be that sellers are running out too. I have no idea, but this is definitely a low volume pullback for now. In the first 2 hours, this is pretty low volume. We'll really have to see how this closes. The role of monetary policy is to ensure that demand does not outstrip supply in a way that leads to more inflation in the medium term. Got it. Well, we'll see. Hopefully, a few more minutes, and I'm gonna get out of here. I don't see shit to do today, guys. You should be enjoying your day off. Like I said, Spy's having a hard time staging a oversold rally. That's not good. Um, Apple's going to be a big decider by the end of today. We'll see if it holds up over yesterday's high. The VIX is possible previous resistance showing up as support. That just means the VIX can go higher. And TLT's not necessarily bouncing how I'd like to see, and the market's not bouncing until TLT goes higher. I mean, it's just, you know, the facts of life. And when our dollar starts going down too, we need to see this dollar going down. Seeing this thing go vertical is very unhealthy too. It's why other global currencies are collapsing and ours is ripping higher. It's not necessarily what we want to see. But again, a big focus of mine will be this TLT and the VIX and the SPY and Apple. Only watching a handful of things that are clearly correlated, and we'll see how it begins to shake and pan out. And then again, just continue scanning the markets. All you can really do. TLT green on the day. Interesting. since then. Dan continuing to break down. Of course, that's not going to be good with like FSLR or EMPH, and of course they don't look good. But we'll see. Who knows? It's still early. Still got a couple hours. This will be a decider then. But back under everything. That's not good. That's not good at all. We still got a few hours in the day, so I will monitor them and set alerts and just kind of see what it looks like back towards the end of the day. But for now, nothing exciting going on. No new purchases today. I don't see any reason to get aggressive in this market. Like I said, if we can't even stage an oversold rally, there's only two options when we get this oversold this quickly. You either going to get a really nice consolidation down here for a much bigger breakdown and something appears like it'll break, or we get the oversold rally and things continue to set up, but in the meantime, we're staying the hell out of the way is the best bet. And we'll see. Like I said, guys, I hate predicting. I'd rather just react, and right now there's nothing to react to. Spy looking horrible. Amazon. Yeah, who knows how these things close, really? The close will be important. The close will be important. Yeah, how do I approach a chart that sets up perfectly? EMA's curling, tight days, etc., but has a lot of overhead. Um, I, I kind of treat it the same, but again, you have to understand what market you're in. You know, a chart can turn back up like a Netflix. You know, once it gets back above its moving averages, it it can end up making a move, right? But it has tons of overhead supply. But I still treat it somewhat similar. I still look for a 3 to 5 day move from a nice, clear pivot. Um, that's still a focus of mine. And then I trail some as long as it's tight and I know my risk is low upon entry. I'm still looking to trim some day 3 to 5 and then let the moving averages work. I know that things that have a ton of overhead supply don't move as well because you just have a bunch of people like wanting to exit and get out of that position. So it's tough. You just have to understand the situation. You know, it's a tough one. it's a tough one. That's why I really try to avoid charts with big overhead resistance. They just don't work as well. Got a lot of people waiting to exit. Versus something like Amazon versus Apple, kind of like we were talking about. One's much prettier than the other. The less overhead, the better. Nothing but happy investors. Do do do. And we'll see what Apple does here too. Like I said, this is going to be the name that I end up eyeballing all day. Does it find support on the smaller time frame, rising 10-20? Who knows? Does it end up rallying and closing strong for the rest of the day? Back at near 152, 153, that would be a very nice sign. But again, our market, everything looks like crap. EMPH isn't really doing anything. These solar names look like they're going lower. They perked up today only to reject. It's not good. They were like the last leading sector. Sometimes you have to ask yourself, like, well, what exactly is going to take our market higher? It would have to be like some kind of a leading sector, and I don't see a leading sector anymore. There's nothing in terms of leaders right now. I mean absolutely nothing. Is it going to be these random ass casino names? I doubt it. They're not weighted heavily at all in our indices, so it's not like they're going to drag up the SPY. It's going to have to be, Apple and Microsoft and Tesla and Google all getting their shit together. They're the heaviest weighted. This TCOM, man. But again, I've got zero opinions about this market. I'm just trying to react to any nice setups that I see. And right now, there's just, like I said, There's just not much. And some things are super like highly correlated. You know, you got TLT going down and our market's not going down, and then you've got our dollar ripping higher, and the market's going down. So, these are pretty correlated. When TLT starts going down or stops going down and UUP stops going up, those two things will bode well for our market. Our dollars has to stop going higher, and the Treasury 20-year has to stop going lower. You know, and again, Apple. Apple's got to stop taking a dump. So heavily weighted. Do do do. This is getting a little absurd with our dollar too. Well, guys, I don't see a ton else to do here today. Monitor the market. I'm monitoring the leaders. What I believe to be, and like I said, my eyes will be on Apple and the VIX and the dollar and TLT. So, not much else to do around here, but just be patient. This is a hard dollar environment, and sometimes just staying out the way is the best thing you can do. Thinking about getting aggressive out here is just silly. So anyway, guys, if that's it for me today, and I'll be back on tomorrow just to scan. We'll see what's holding up. We'll see what's not, because there's not much to do in terms of trading out here. Like I said, Apple's the main watch. So there's really nothing else. So anyway, guys, till tomorrow, we will see you guys. We'll see you guys in the morning. Have a good one.